Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tomahawk Talk with Mark Myre, Tim Scott, and Jake Green, presented by Friends of Pontiac Football. And on this episode, Fellheimer Law Firm. I'm Jake Green, and welcome formally to the inaugural Tomahawk Talk episode here with Friends of Pontiac Football. I was reached out to and by Friends of Pontiac Football, and we wanted to make a special show, a deeper dive into what Pontiac football truly is, and kind of breaking back the curtain a little bit. And here we are. So, episode number one. It's right here. It's maybe a little bit of a longer one, but there's a lot of information, and you're not going to want to miss it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. What is this show, you might be asking? And that's a fair question. Again, it's a deeper dive, right? It's going to be more into what Pontiac football is. We're going to talk to the coaches. Week to week, we're going to have players on as well. We're going to highlight players, who's doing good. We're going to talk about specific players that are really grinding their teeth and getting things done. In this episode, Mark Myre and Tim Scott join me on the other side of this break, and we talk about their background and their thoughts on this upcoming year. And Coach Zach Gadbury joins me, and we talk about kind of the whole Indian program as a whole. His defensive coordinator, Josh Meisner, joins us as well. Between Zach and Josh, we talk about their backgrounds and why did they choose Pontiac and their thoughts on this upcoming year as well. Ion Central Illinois is still your home for live streams. Again, we talk about that later in the video, but don't fret. Ion Central Illinois live streams for every game will still be available as well. Let's jump in, though. Episode number one, presented by Fellheimer Law Firm of Tomahawk Talk. It starts right here, right now.
Tomahawk Talk is built by Abraham Masonry. Tomahawk Talk is driven by Heller Motors. Tomahawk Talk is financed by the Bank of Pontiac. Tomahawk Talk is founded by Fellheimer Law Firm. DPI is a proud sponsor of Tomahawk Talk.
As promised, I am joined with Pontiac radio legends Mark Myre and Tim Scott. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me here this afternoon.
You are welcome, Jake. We're excited about 2025.
Tell you what, you guys have been around Pontiac for a very long time, and having you a part of this show is special, and working with you guys over the last couple of years is also extremely special to me. And we get to branch out in this Friends of Pontiac football show. First and foremost, I want to make it very clear, the Ion Central Illinois is not going anywhere. That's still your home to watch the games on Friday nights. But this is just kind of an extra in-depth look to Pontiac Indian football in a different way than what some people are used to. And we're going to try and incorporate content pieces. In this show alone, we're going to have videos from practice. We're going to have videos from Cesar Gutierrez breaking 2 school records for weightlifting. Coach Gadbury and I talk about that a little later in the show. We'll have videos from all of that as well. So trying to incorporate content with a talk show look and a hybrid sense. I think it's going to be a good time, and of course, having you guys with it here with us is going to be just amazing as well. So, but gentlemen, most people, I would say, know who Mark Myre and Tim Scott are if they've been around Pontiac for more than a couple of days. Mark, Tim, run me through a little bit about yourselves. Mark, let's start with you. Where do you come from? Why radio? Tell me about Mark Myre.
Well, since 4 years old, riding a lawnmower, I used to announce the Chicago Cub games, and I just always wanted to be a high school sportscaster, and really lucked out. A family really supported me all the way, and family and friends, and it just all lined up. Collins and Katie Miller come down here in 1990. Boy, I am getting old, but we called the games, found Tim at a church league softball game. He had a good voice. They were picking him up, and Mark Edwards was there. God rest his soul. He was wonderful with us all the way through, and we had so many people, and I'm telling you what, I would be nowhere without this town, these sponsors, great people in this community. I think it's the best small town in the nation, and I'm excited about Pontiac football. You got a guy here running the ship that knows what he's talking about, knows already, and I think we got speed, size. More important, I think we believe in ourselves, and I'm excited about the football this year.
Mark, talk about where you went to college. I believe it was Lincoln Community College. What was some of your professional work as you did as well?
Well, my first girls basketball play-by-play was the guy you guys all know, Jack Bristow. I worked with him at Lincoln College, and then everybody laughed. Niles Nyman, former White Sox, was down there in baseball. Al Pickering, one of the top college coaches in the game, who coached Kevin Gamble for the Boston Celtics, and we had Division I coaches in all the time. Kept saying you'll never do all these games. So a lot of work. We had to be behind the scenes, and we ended up doing all the ball games. I love what I do. You love what I do. With Tim, he's the best, and I think he's the best analyst in the game. Jake, you're outstanding. You're the future of everything. And we're really, really excited about the campaign and excited about the background and everything going through with Pontiac football.
Well, thank you, Mark, for the kind words as well. Tim, I want to shift to you a little bit. Talk about what was your upbringing like? Where did you go to college? Did you go to college? And how did you get into this whole media world, beyond this church softball game?
Well, that literally was the door. It was the church league softball, to be honest with you. But I grew up in the area here in Chatsworth, and that was part, if you don't know, that's part of now the Prairie Central School District. And uh, junior college at Kankakee, ISU, and back in the 80s. Here's the Niles Nyman story that connects with that. Slow pitch softball used to be huge. And back in the 80s, that was before I got married and all that, and we were all single. We played a boatload of games, played a tournament down in Lincoln, and all of us, I was the slow pitch pitcher, and here's this guy, jacks one down the left field line, a lefty. And then he pulls one down the right field line, and then he pulls a home run over the center field wall. I go, who in the heck is this guy? It was Niles Nyman of the White Sox. Bum, shoulder, and all, still playing slow pitch softball in Lincoln, Illinois. But anyway, with the church league softball, connected with Mark, that's how I got to know him. I moved into the community in the late 80s and connected with him. And before you know it, all of a sudden we got a 93 state title. And Mick Peterson, Dave Young, and a boatload of talent ran through this community for many, many a year. And obviously, as we all know, the cupboard went a little bare. And Coach Gadbury's in the process of trying to piece that all back together. And the last 2 years have been tough. But I actually talked with him, and what I'm hearing, maybe, just maybe, a little light at the end of the tunnel. And to get this program back to being competitive and being in ball games, and then you start talking about wins and losses and playoffs and all this. But his squad and the kids know it, the coaches know it, and trying to turn around a program that he picked up that was at the end of its rope. There's no other way to describe that. He has done, I think, a pretty good job, and it's very interesting. And I'm anxious, I'm excited, I'm curious, and a little bit apprehensive. How about all those words? I think it just does describe, though, what the heck this program, where it's at, and where it's headed this year. I think it's a huge year for these kids and the program and him and coaches.
See, Tim used to coach third base in softball, and I'd always outrun the signal. That's how we got to know each other. He was always yelling at me, so it's all worked out.
He got me thrown out at home, and I won't tell you what the heck I said to him. It's G-rated program. This wasn't G-rated, but we got it all solved in the back of an old Cadillac, a little cooler, and a couple of cocktails, and I'll just leave it at that.
We had a blast. The other thing is, interviewing Lou Holtz and all the football coach greats. Speed kills.
No,
and he's talking about speed here today. You got speed coming up on your interviews. Speed kills. And we got speed this year, folks. I mean, I'm not saying we're going 9-0. His job is to build the program, but he's got speed this year. You're going to see it.
Well, if you got speed and football athleticism, not athletes, but speed and football athleticism, that is a huge key. And that's where they really have been missing other than the kids up front. Everyone knows you got it. You don't have to be huge, but you got to be athletic in the line of scrimmage, and you got to hold your own. We saw a lot of kids. They weren't 300-pounders, but by God, we went against 300-pounders. And back in the day, those kids, because they were wrestlers, they worked the weights, and they knew, and technique and coaching, that it's very possible when an enrollment in this community has been dropping. And it's tough to get kids maybe the way it used to be, 900 plus in the enrollment in this community in the 90s. But the old adage was the Illini owned the 80s. Well, Pontiac Indians owned the 90s into the 2000s. Let's hope a little bit of that is going to show up in 2025.
I think if you get a kid to run through a wall, he'll run through a wall. You get him to hit a wall, he's going to hit a wall. Coach Gadbury is a motivator. He gets him to run through a wall. And if you get that lined up, Anybody teach blocking and tackling, you all say, oh, come on, Mark. Listen, all your coaches, that's basic fundamentals. All life is fundamentals. You get that taught, you get that belief in this football program, and you could soar and things could happen. Right now, you just want to win one when you can get it, build it up and try to get into the high school football playoff. That's his goal. That's his dream. You get that going once, you stay there forever. It's a lot of fun.
I think Coach Gadbury and the whole staff, we talked actually, the way we film these clips is a little out of sequence for this first show. We didn't know the scheduling kind of line up for yourself and Tim, Mark. So, Coach Gadbury's actually already talked to me today. On the other side of this break, though, everyone watching this will see what we talked about. And that's kind of one thing we talked about, too, is it's just a lot of kids are buying in, and it's happening. It's getting there. I think Coach Gadbury and his whole staff have done a great job of that, of trying to get everyone back into the program and bought in. I want to ask one more question of you both each. I know one of our biggest focuses is we want to move from the past, okay? But and the future is bright and it's coming. But I have a couple of questions, one each, and I want to know what was your favorite game of Pontiac's that they were involved in to be a part of. Mark, I'll
Well,
start with
mine was
you.
simple. It was the 1993 campaign. It was all the way to the playoffs, from Kiwani, all the way through from winning that state championship, getting there with Lombard Martini semifinal, knocking off a UI. Is Art Kimball, I think, the greatest sportscaster ever in Illinois, who trained me. He was unbelievable, wonderful human being. I love Art, and he said, "You got studs. You got studs, linebackers, stud quarterbacks, stud everything." But studs went to work. They were in the hallway, shaking hands. They did things in the community, and they were raised by great, and I mean wonderful, mom and dads. And after a ball game, you got together and you had a ham and cheese, or you got to say hi to everybody. And I think when you put good kids together and you build great things, and I'll go back to one other game, actually a loss, but I'll go to it. Joliet Catholic on a tough field goal, and we were seconds away from knocking them off. And if I can quote a Joliet Catholic fan and Coach Sharp long time ago, say, when you come to Pontiac, you better lace them up. And they almost got beat. And that was one of the top teams, not in the state, in the country on USA
Sure
Today.
was.
So it can be done. You just got to believe and achieve. And we're going to find out here in the 2025 campaign. I'm not saying 9-0. I'm saying let's try to get into the football playoff, and then good things can happen.
Tim, I'm going to echo that. What was a favorite memory you've had of working here for Pontiac
Favorite
Sports?
memory. I'm gonna take it a little bit downsized and take one piece out of the '90s and how we competed with Morse. Morris Redskin, and I remember moving into the community, and I want to say it was '89. Might have been Nick's first year here, and he got those kids in that program. You got to, as bad as Pontiac Indian football, and I apologize, but it's been bad over the last few years in terms of wins and losses. The early '80s was just as bad and maybe even worse. And I didn't live in the community, but I followed high school football. And my God, the wins were just non-existent up here. He comes in and he gets the kids to believe, and they lose to Morris in the playoff opener. He got them in the playoffs. But then a couple of years went by and they weren't in the playoffs. And we got into '91. I joined Mark, and we had a very, very tough loss to Muhammad Seymour, if I remember, at the end. And it knocked us out of the playoff because back in the day, 5-4 didn't make it. You got to be 6-3. But then all of a sudden it turned around. We go toe to toe to Morris, and it's when we thumped Morris a couple years in a row, and we went up there and destroyed them on their home field. I go, okay, this program's not only gotten there, it is sustained. And that's how it built upon the steps. And it took us through '90s and 2000 and some great kids, and obviously can't mention all of them, but and the coaches and all. And all of a sudden, I wonder if we're back at this point again. And where's that going to be the moment, aha moment, that, okay, this program is not a laughing stock anymore. It's going to be competitive. It's going to get there, and you got to take some baby steps to make it. Because you can turn a basketball team around when you got one or two studs and a bunch of role players. Football, you need about 22 of them to make them work in the trenches and in the skilled position. So I echo Mark's thought. I'm not talking playoffs even this year. I'm going to go one step. Be competitive, show your stuff. We're going in the right direction. Then the wins will come, and hopefully you can get 5 or 6 of them, and you get yourself in the playoff position where the program, the kids, the community, it's all about that. It's fun when it happens.
The way, Tim brought up a great point. The state championship, in my mind, was won in 1992. We're up at St. Bede, and that ball club went 5-4, and that ball club started routing people big time in '92. Yep. And we said, remember now, 5-4 in this day and age would put you in a playoff. You would not want to play the Pontiac Indians in 1992. They got in a roll.
Yeah, you're right. Muhammad Seymour was the was the last loss of the season, knocked us out in a gut-wrenching loss here at home. But all of a sudden, that program, you could see it turned around, and you see it be sustainable. And I know that's exactly what Coach Gadbury wants to do as well.
You have to have every bounce go your way, every break go your way, and luck. You got to have luck to win state championships, to win football games. But let's just start. Let's just play the conference. It's tough enough. The state champions coming out of this conference, probably. We know that. And you're probably playing with, in my mind, and I know you're thinking, everybody's thinking watching this broadcast, Coal City's picked to win the state, folks. They're all the big boys are out of there. They're going 4A. They are loaded. It's the best sophomores they had in 20 years. Let's be competitive up there. Maybe we knock them off, get them in game 1. Who knows? But you're playing a juggernaut schedule. I can tell you that.
Gentlemen, I love your thoughts. It's always nice to hear your thoughts from times past and applying them to times present. They always say history repeats itself, and I wonder if maybe it's time for the Indians drought to be back. And like you said, getting this ball rolling. I think we have the staff to do it. I think we have the kids right now that are bought in to do it. We have a couple of years here of kids that are bought in, and I think we see some growth, from what we've seen in years past. Gentlemen, on the other side of this break, Coach Gadbury and I talk about all things Pontiac football. We are joined with Coach Meisner as well. So we'll join up with you guys at the end of the show. I know, again, today the scheduling things didn't completely come together, but throughout the rest of this year, I'll hit that real quick. We'll have 3 shows throughout the season. Those will be week 1 through 3, week 4 through 6, and week 7 through 9, talking about everything Pontiac Indian football. In this first year of this show, we want to just make sure there's interest. We want to make sure it's done right. We're going to do kind of a limited schedule, 5 total shows. This is the first one, 3 throughout the year, and then we'll have one show that encompasses the banquet and everything that we have kind of to tie the bow, if you would, on the end of the year. But gentlemen, throughout the year those 3 main shows, you'll be heavily involved, and I can't wait to have you guys involved again in that. Kind of throwing back a little bit to the Saturday morning shows, if you would, just a little bit. So again, on the other side of this break, Coach Gadbury and I sit down and talk all things Pontiac football.
Tomahawk Talk is built by Abraham Masonry. Tomahawk Talk is driven by Heller Motors. Tomahawk Talk is financed by the Bank of Pontiac. Tomahawk Talk is founded by Fellheimer Law Firm. DPI is a proud sponsor of Tomahawk Talk.
Okay, everyone, we just heard from Mark and Tim and their backstories. Now let's dive deeper into what the Pontiac football program is and who kind of spearheads that, right? And joined with me right now is head coach Zach Gadbury. Coach, it's year number 3, and the wheels are rolling pretty good so far.
Yeah, it's crazy to think going into year 3. Things have gone fast, but we feel really good about the summer we had and super excited for this fall.
You've been a football guy for a long time. You started in a absolute powerhouse of Tolono Unity, and then you progressed into college football. Run me through why football? What made a young Zach Gadbury get into football, and why did it go through from Tolono to St. Ambrose to now Pontiac?
Yeah, I think early on I was more of a baseball kid, and then I kind of saw myself grow, and obviously playing in a program like Unity. It just becomes part of who you are. I think football is the ultimate team sport. So just relying on, your teammates and your coaches and doing all those things to execute and win football games, I think is the most exciting thing about the game of football. So, again, I originally started as a baseball player, transitioned into football, fell in love with it. Had, a Hall of Fame coach. Scott Hamilton was my coach over there at Unity. Had a good career, then transitioned and decided to play college football. Went to St. Ambrose University up in the Quad Cities in Davenport, Iowa. Was lucky enough to have a really good career there. Was a 4-year starter, 4-year all conference guy. And then I didn't want to leave the game when it was time to graduate. So ended up working on my master's degree. Got a master's in organizational leadership, and in that time, I worked as a graduate assistant with the offensive line at St. Ambrose. And then after my first year, they actually hired me on as a full-time paid coach, where I worked with the offensive line for 2 more years before, making the decision to come back to high school. And thought that Pontiac had a ton of potential, and we're starting to see that potential come to the surface here. And like I said, just super excited about this fall.
We'll talk a lot more about what we've had go on since we've seen, the last buzzer at Bethalto a little bit later in our next segment. But you have a huge coaching staff behind you that helps you quite a bit. And granted, you have come up through the ranks and you have quite a bit under your belt as far as experience and game knowledge. Again, you played with Scott Hamilton, and for him, you played and coached college ball as well. You have a good mindset, but it takes a team, it takes a community to do what you do. So I know you have quite a few guys that help you with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would probably say I'm one of the younger guys on my staff. Having guys like Ryan Abraham, who's been through the program here, he's coached here, he played here, he's in town. He cares about Pontiac football. He works with our offense and defensive line. Being able to send our linemen down with him and let him do his thing over there is taking a lot off of my plate. Um, Coach Matt Starker, our head basketball coach, joined us last year. Just a good teacher, good coach. He'll be working more with special teams this year, just to kind of put more on his plate and give him a little bit more responsibility. Then Kevin Dyke. Kevin's been with me since day one. Super energetic guy, very positive. He's our freshman head coach, and does a really good job working with Coach Fernando Daly. Has helped him the last 2 years now, and just really excited to see what they can do with our freshman group as they develop those players and get them to take the next step. And then we've added some guys. Early on when I got here, I wanted to keep the circle pretty tight as we were starting to try and build our culture and build the program back to what we want it to be. I kind of kept our circle pretty small. So we added Riley Cole. Riley will help with the JV. He's also going to help with basketball this year here at PTHS. Peyton Kramer, he's an alumni. Was a tremendous player here. Actually went and played at Illinois State for 4 years and just graduated and got a job here with the fire department in Pontiac. He'll work with special teams. Coach Meisner and I were talking about it. Practice just flows a little bit better when he's there. He's been around the game. He's extremely bright, and that's been a huge addition for us. And then 2 other guys are Trey Ettinger and James Durham. I mean, 2 guys that know the game of football. They're young. They want to learn. They work really well with the kids. So just having more hands, more people around, some more continuity. We've been together for a couple of years now, that core group of guys. And then leading into, some of the coordinators that I have too, has made my job a lot easier.
Well, Coach had to go tend to the phone. You could hear it ringing in the background. He's still working, right? You can see him in the athletic office. But, Coach, you have a huge staff, and we were going to have a couple of them with us today. We still have one, but I know your coordinators are a big part of what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're kind of the key of what we do offensively and defensively. Our offensive coordinator, who works really close with our quarterbacks, Zach Jarks, was unable to be here today. He's working and busy at the Boys and Girls Club, but he's a guy that's been with me since the very beginning. He's learned kind of how we want to do things offensively over here. He's had to kind of make a transition to what he did as a coach at Prairie Central when they were, playoff team, quarterfinal team a few years ago. So just having him, he's been around high school football. He loves it. He's passionate about it. Really enjoy working with him. And then Coach Meisner, my defensive coordinator, he also works really close with our kids in the weight room as our strength and conditioning guy. He's more than my defensive coordinator. He's kind of my right-hand man. I go to him with anything that I might have, questions, throw ideas at him. He's been around high school football and coached at a really high level for a long time. So having a guy like that in my corner it just makes me feel more confident, and gives me somebody to kind of go back to and make sure that, hey, we're doing what we need to be doing, or we're heading in the right direction. And yeah, having him around has been huge for us here.
You talk about having those people around you, and again, it takes a community, and I think it's no better way than to let the community that we have watching us right now get a face to the name and create a personability level to where they understand who our coaches are talking with you. And I say we bring in Coach Meisner. I know he's with you as well. On the other side of this break, we'll be joined by Coach Josh Meisner, the defensive coordinator for the Pontiac Indians.
Tomahawk Talk would like to thank all of our sponsors that make this show possible.
We are joined back in now. Again, you see a new face on your screen. That's defensive coordinator Josh Meisner. Coach, your birthday today as well as we're filming this, so happy birthday. You come from a background of football as well, from a long way down. You played and coached at Chatham Glenwood. So, Coach, tell me about why football? What made it stick for you? And also, why did you continue to coach at Chatham Glenwood when you were done? Why are we at Pontiac?
Sure. Yeah, Chad Glenwood. I mean, I grew up there. It was such an awesome experience for me growing up in a community that loved football. Was very fortunate to play with some Hall of Fame coaches. Um, Coach Danny Rourke was my head coach when I got to high school, and just really the experience I had and being able to learn from some guys who one cared about the kids, and that showed. And I loved every bit of it. And so when I had the opportunity to, kind of figure out what I wanted to do with my life, one of the first things I thought about was my experience with athletics and wanting to be a coach, um, be the coach that I had for, however many kids, I was able to. Um, so I started coaching at Chatham in 2016, and got to coach with a lot of the guys that I played for. So that was a unique experience for sure. Um, yeah, to where a very high level program to where you knew that you were going to make the playoffs every year. You're going to be, we're going to be 8-2. We're going to be 9-1. Um, so very fortunate in that. Learned a lot. Coached freshman, JV, varsity. Um, and I got to a point to where, I was ready to kind of take that next step, whether it be a coordinator or a head coach potentially. And um, my wife is from Pontiac originally, and so she heard about the opening here, so I said, well, I'll throw my hat in the ring and see what happens. And I remember I got a interview on a Wednesday. I got a call on a Friday from Gary Bruner, and he said, hey, we offered the job to somebody else, but we loved your interview, your experience, um, and so offered me a PE job and potentially a job on staff. And after about 5 minutes of talking with Gadbury, it was pretty clear that yeah, I can roll with this dude. So we packed up and moved up here, and uh, been loving it ever since.
Now, I gotta ask though, and the reality is right. That's a very different program jump from what we've had at Pontiac to Chatham Glenwood. It's just very different, unfortunately. But you guys are really trying to get that back, building the culture. Again, we'll talk about that in the next segment of how we're doing that and what's been going on. But for you as a coach, that's a big jump. Has there been any struggles with that or any adjustments that you've made?
Sure. I mean, yeah, it's like you said, it was night and day. Coming from what I'm used to, really both of us. But it was also very fortunate to have good coaches, and you can call them anytime that you want, ask them questions, and talk through things. And um, every time I did it, always came up with some of the coaches I had to where it wasn't always like that. When they first started the program, like we weren't very good. It took time. Um, I actually just talked to one of my mentors who's still coaching and teaching down there at Chatham. He talking about about year three. That's when you kind of started to see some fruits of your labor a little bit, and and it's couldn't be more true from what we've seen over the summer, and what these guys who have been with us and they put the work in and to watch them develop. So yeah, you knew it was going to be a challenge going into it, but it's one of those things where hard work pays off, and you come in and this is what we're going to do and this is what we're going to live by, and you buy into it. It's going to be a really awesome experience, and we've been very fortunate to have the kids that we've had to where have bought into that, and now they're seeing them as freshmen, and now our junior class and senior class has been with us for a couple of years. Um, it's been awesome to see their growth, and like I said, you can see the turn coming. Vastly different from year 1 to year 3, but it's been fun to be part of.
Just on the outside looking in, I was a part of the program for my 4 years there. I saw technically four different head coaches, but really three. And it's just seeing what you guys are doing so far is a dramatic change. And but I want to talk about you say those guys are growing and you've seen their evolution. So Coach Gads, talk about an offensive guy. We were going to have Zach Jarks touch on this, but of
Yeah.
course Zach couldn't be with us. So an offensive guy. You have your hands on the offense quite a bit too. You kind of oversee that some. At least you did in my time there. Who is a guy on offense that's really been working and really been showing up?
Yeah, I mean, I think to start things, our senior class this year has been awesome. They're a smaller group. I think we've got 9 seniors, but man, they are bought into what we're trying to do. And that's huge when you talk about winning football programs. Your senior class, that's your most important class. So, one guy, there's so many guys that I could pick to talk about that had really good summers, but one guy that's I think tuned up and probably going to have a good year for us is AJ DeLong. He'll be a 3-year starter at quarterback. He was sidelined early last year. He got hurt week 2 and didn't see the field the rest of the year due to a knee injury. So he really zoned in on getting healthy, recovering. Had a really good track season in the spring. Is getting some interest from colleges over the summer here, and I think he's really taken a big step forward when it comes to reading defenses, understanding what we're trying to accomplish offensively, and then getting the ball to our playmakers, which this year we've got more this year than we have the last 2 years. So just trying to spread the ball around, but he's been so good in every other area too. Whether that's community service. His team was one of our winners in our summer tribe challenge that we did this summer. He had 100% attendance this summer. He just kind of represents who we want to be as a football program, and that always helps when it's your quarterback, your signal caller, who's kind of operating things offensively. So we're really excited about AJ. We're really excited about a lot of guys on the offensive side of the ball, but he's one that just kind of stands out as a senior leader, and just looking for him to have a good fall.
Coach Meisner, I'm going to echo the same thing I just said to Coach Gads. Is on the defensive side, who's that guy that you've noticed that's really stepped up?
I would say really from day one, Owen Stroh has been a guy for me to where he's 100% attendance guy. He's always around. He's always has a positive attitude. Does everything the right way. Everything that we ask him to do. I could ask him to play 3 different positions at the same time, and he would try to do it. He's a kid that a coach loves to coach. So I can't say enough about Owen Stroh and what he's meant to me as a DC, but also just to what culture we're trying to build here, and what a Pontiac football player is supposed to look like.
And I'm going to take that completely. And Stroh may be a good option. I know Owen, and I agree with everything you've said there. But coaches, who is a guy that kind of encapsulates everything we have about Pontiac football? A general program guy that maybe I mean there was guys when I was in school that really didn't see the field all that much, or maybe didn't see the court, but you were sure that the locker room was better with him in it, and he was just
Mm-hmm.
one of those team guys, if you would. And who is that for you right now?
We got 2 juniors that are just really good. Ben Melcher's going to be a junior. Was a little dinged up early last year. We made some decisions last year where he didn't play a ton on Friday nights, and I think that he's starting to see that pay off a little bit going into his junior year. But you just talk about a guy that brings it every day. He's just a little bit different, and I could say the same about Josh Harkey. Josh is a guy that played a lot. Both him and Ben played a lot as freshmen. We went through our lumps last year. They're going to play a ton for us this fall. They're guys that we're going to rely on both sides of the ball. Ben's probably going to carry the ball for us majority of the time, and Josh is kind of the leader for us on defense. So two guys that show up in the weight room. Their energy is just separates them a little bit. They bring everybody else up around them, and they're a joy to coach because they love football. They love to compete. And you talk about two guys that are Pontiac football players. Those guys are Pontiac football players, and we're excited to have them not only this fall, but we get them again next fall too. So those are two guys, team guys that they just do everything at a very high level.
I agree. I know a lot of those kids still. I was fortunate enough to share some time in high school with them before I got out, and I think those are some very good thoughts, fellas. So, tell you what, Coach Meisner, happy birthday! Enjoy the rest of your birthday. Okay, so I don't know, maybe you and the wife have a dinner scheduled tonight, hopefully, or something like that. But you can get off the call here and we'll get you out. But Coach Gads, we're going to talk more about what your summer tribe challenge was, practices this summer, and everything since the last buzzer at Bethalto. We'll talk about it in the next segment, so don't go anywhere.
Tomahawk Talk would like to thank all of our sponsors that make this show possible.
Okay, Coach. Coach Meisner has stepped out. He's able to go enjoy his birthday, and now you and I are going to banter a little bit about what we've had happen in the Indian football program since Bethalto 2024. And you end the year on a win there. You go through the banquet, and your mind's already turning, and your gears are turning for 2025 and what that brings. And you got to start early. You start talking to guys, I'm sure, but you have a new resource at your disposal to be able to start thinking about, and that's the new weight room that's
Yeah.
out by the Chop House by Williamson Field. And Coach, that new weight room has been a huge asset to you so far in this offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to get a facility built like that in perfect timing before the summer starts, to give our athletes a place and an environment to, safely work out, but make sure that they have what they need to execute a solid workout. Like I mentioned before, Coach Meisner kind of heads that up for us in the off season. And the kids bought into it. We lifted 4 days a week there through the month of June. They took a ton of pride in what we were doing in there. We saw some huge numbers hit in our max weeks. We actually had two school records broke this summer. Cesar Gutierrez actually set two new records. He deadlifted 535 pounds and squat 370 pounds at 160-pound body weight. So another one of those kids that we're super excited about. Really gets after it in the weight room. You can tell he takes a lot of pride into it. But yeah, that facility out there is state of the art, just like majority of our facilities here. And we can't thank our administration and those enough that we're able to get that done for us.
And I believe we're going to have some footage of that. You probably just saw Caesar hitting those records, and with all of his teammates around him. That's the biggest thing is you're getting the excitement for those kids to be in the weight room. And I know there were some offerings before, but we never really have seen, at least in my time in the last few years, a big buy-in to consistently in the weight room.
Yeah,
I know you've.
no, it's been huge for us. I mean, we've got 73 kids on roster going into the fall, and we were in there morning 60 deep where we were running out of room. They really took it and ran with it, and Coach Meisner does a really good job of just, hey, this is what we expect. Here's what you need to be doing, and we just kind of let them roll. And our leaders in there step up and make sure that it's being held to a standard that they think is feasible for us, and we just let them roll with it, and they get after it, and it's really fun to kind of watch them do that.
A big part of your weight room, you have that new space, so you're able to think about new ideas and how can I get kids excited and how do I get high school kids to want to buy in to this program a little more. Again, it's just the reality. We need more people to buy into the program with where it's at. And so, as a head coach and as coaching staff, that's a hard job to do. And so you have a lot of thoughts now, and one of them that you came up with I thought was super cool. It was the Summer Tribe Challenge, as you called it.
Mhm.
Talk me through what the Summer Tribe Challenge or the STC was.
Yeah, you mentioned winning the last game of the year over at Bethalto and getting through the banquet. One thing that I struggle at is turning my brain off when it comes to trying to find ways for us to get better as a football program. Going into the off season, it was like, how can we continue to elevate this thing? And I kind of put together the Summer Tribe Challenge. It was something that I kind of we did something similar in college at St. Ambrose. Where it's leaders or captains get to pick their teams. There's ways that you can score points, whether that's community service, fundraising, competitions in the weight room, competitions on the football field. So just kind of trying to put an emphasis on every little thing matters. Every little thing within a football program matters, and it's not just on the football field. So, we were just shy of 200 hours of community service this summer in 2 months. And to me, getting out into the community, especially a community like Pontiac and the surrounding areas that support us as well as they do, I think that that's really important for us. So again, just trying to elevate things, trying to find ways to improve, trying to find ways to continue to get better, because we're not where we want to be at. And until we are, we're just going to keep pushing and keep finding ways to amplify things. And I think Summer Tribe Challenge kind of was a good start for us this summer in introducing that.
I know you have some stats from that, some more breakdown on the numbers. Why don't you go over that?
Yeah, I mean, we had a 78% attendance rate. That was up from last year, which was closer to 60, 65. So that was really good to see. One thing that I put a huge emphasis on is fundraising within our program. I like to buy nice, new, shiny things, and our kids like to wear nice, new, shiny things. So in order to do that, you got to raise money. And again, shout out to our community for being able to support us the way that they do. And we've raised over $15,000 this summer and still counting between our Indian cards and our online fundraiser. So those are a couple of big numbers. Again, in the weight room, 5 guys that were 1,000-pound club members: Donovan Curry, Ben Melchers, Cesar Gutierrez, Josh Hartkey, and sophomore Jaden Reed, who we're really excited about. And I think he's going to have a big year for us on Fridays. Again, man, just being able to get out into the community, being able to represent ourselves at a high level, not only on the football field, but in the classroom, community, all those things are super important to me as we continue to build our culture here within our program.
Yeah, that was one thing I always kind of admired you for, is it wasn't just about football. You cared about getting those guys well-rounded outside of the program as well. You needed to make sure you're doing your job in the classroom. You need to make sure you're doing your job outside. When you're representing Pontiac football on a greater scale, make sure you're doing it positively. And I think that's something that you do a good job at in your whole staff.
I appreciate that.
Turning heads now, or turning heads rather, turning topics to kind of what practice was. You had some days there in really extreme heat this summer. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the corn sweat they called it was sweating for sure. You had to change around your practice scheduled some. You also had some kids varying in attendance, I'm sure. And talk about what your struggles were with practice this summer, but also what was good out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of we really, again, one of those things. After the season was over, we sat down as a staff, and we kind of rebuilt our summer plan. We had been doing week long kind of camps, and it just wasn't working for us. So we just kind of spread things out. We spread out our practices a little bit more. We really put an emphasis on less is more sometimes. And when we have you here, we're going to challenge you and we are going to push you. And you better be ready to work through some of that. But at the same time, we're going to let you rest. We're going to let you be high school kids, and make sure that you're recovering and doing those types of things too. So, yeah, we ran into some heat there that last week of practice. We were supposed to have a joint practice that got canceled. We were really excited about kind of putting a cherry on top of our summer. It just got too hot. We weren't able to get to it. We had a week, I think, where we practiced in the mornings. For some reason, our kids eat up getting up and getting stuff done at 6 a.m. Like when I was in high school, I don't know if that was how I would have done things, but sometimes the earlier the better for our kids. Get them up, get practice in. Majority of our kids work, which I think is really cool too. So. No, I mean, there's always going to be some challenges with the uncontrollables from a practice standpoint. I think we took a huge step this summer and getting practice film. One thing we take a lot of pride in is being able to go back and watch practice and evaluate things and coach things up that you might not be able to see on the field. So we've got 4 new managers this year, 4 young ladies that have taken a lot of pride in their role. Something that you did as a high school student here. So yeah, I mean, just I think we're taking huge strides when it comes to practice, organization, all hands on deck, and emphasizing, hey, when I got you here, you better be ready to bust it, and they've really bought into that.
And what I love too is I've always thought of this, and from the head coach to there is a totem pole. The reality is there is a totem pole of hierarchy somewhere, and from the head coach to the bottom of whatever that totem pole is, everyone is within the program. Everyone is bought in, and everyone matters and is a part of it. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
another good thing your coaching staff does is it doesn't matter if you're head guy or if you're on the very bottom of that deal, you're involved. And
Right.
I think that's again, you go back to community and getting everyone completely bought in to what we're doing.
Absolutely.
I know you have some kids too that just on the grand scheme of things are very involved. Program guys. We talked about a couple earlier, but I know you mentioned a couple who have sold a magnitude of Indian cards. Talk about some of those people who really embodied that Summer Tribe Challenge and what that meant to be in attendance, to be involved in the community, and to be involved in the weight room.
Yeah, absolutely. One guy that stands out to me is going to be a senior. His name's Zach Legner. Zach is kicked for us the last couple of years. Played a little bit of linebacker. We really transitioned him to the offensive side of the ball this fall, and he's going to have a great opportunity to play a ton on Fridays for us. He loves Pontiac football. He loves representing the name across the front of his chest. I mean, I think he sold 120 Indian cards. So when you do the math there, he's he's holding his own plus some from a fundraising standpoint. But he's been a guy that's since we've got here, he's bought in. He's engaged with what we're trying to accomplish, and he's just one of those guys that you'll remember as a kid that loved Pontiac football and helped build this foundation and was a big part of that.
Coach, we wrapped up kind of everything for this summer. On the other side of this break, we're going to talk about what's next. What's this year? The Orange and Blue game from the time this video is posted is just a couple of days away. We'll talk about what the Orange and Blue game is and all of the season here coming up right after the break.
Tomahawk Talk is built by Abraham Masonry. Tomahawk Talk is driven by Heller Motors. Tomahawk Talk is financed by the Bank of Pontiac. Tomahawk Talk is founded by Fellheimer Law Firm. DPI is a proud sponsor of Tomahawk Talk.
Coach, we wrapped up everything about what's happened since Bethalto. We put the bookmark and the book ending on that chapter. Now it's everything looking forward. It's always about the future and what we're going to do next, I feel like. And coming up here very soon in just a couple of days is the Orange and Blue night where you got to have a team scrimmage, if you would, where everyone can come in and see Pontiac on the field for the first time in a reduced capacity, if you would.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where the kids kind of get to put the jerseys on and get up underneath the lights for the first time, kind of shake off the cobwebs, if you will. But for us, it's more of like a glorified practice. We'll do some scrimmaging in there, but just trying to get an extra day, really, steal a day of practice, steal a day of work, get everybody involved, let the kids have fun with it. So yeah, we're really looking forward to Friday night for Orange and Blue and all the festivities that brings.
Coach, talk about what we have this season on tap. Everything's kind of shaking around again in the conference. So if people are thinking, well, we're going to go here and here and here, well, everything's changed
Mhm.
again. So if we went somewhere last year, doesn't mean they're coming here this year. Let's talk about everything we have going on. Also, game number one, it's a brand new opponent for the Indians.
Yeah, we're going to go on the road to Coal City. They were a Final Four team from last year, really physical, tough football program. But when you play in the Illini Prairie Conference, you're seeing tough physical football programs week in and week out. So, I think we have another tough schedule in front of us. We know that with playing in the conference that we play in. So we're excited to go on the road and kind of see what we're made of week 1 against Coal City. We've kind of evaluated them a little bit. We got an idea what we plan to see from them, but at the same time, just really worried about ourselves the next couple of weeks here, before we take that trip up north and see what we're made of week 1.
Tell you what, the whole schedule will be on the screen here as we're kind of talking right now, and you go on the road some, you stay at home some. I know a couple of key things to hit. Prairie Central's at home this year. Rantoul's homecoming this year. We're on the road to end the year at St. Joseph Ogden. Talk about some other games that you may want to highlight here, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, you always get the schedule out and see where PC's at, right? I think playing them at home week 2. I haven't looked too far past the first couple of weeks of the season, to be honest with you. So we're always excited to host them over here, and I know that they'll be tough again, like they are every year. Then we go to PBL. IVC's at home. IVC, we plan on doing kind of a salute to the troops, first responders night that night, the 19th. So come out to that and check out the festivities we have going on for that one. Then we go back to the old stomping grounds to Tolono, right, for their homecoming. So they got a new head football coach. Their head football coach this year was actually my offensive line coach when I played there. So we got a good relationship and always excited for that matchup. Like you mentioned, Rantoul's homecoming. It would be really nice to win a homecoming game. We haven't done that in a little while here. So hosting them on homecoming should be an exciting one. And then we finish out with a little bit of a ringer the last 3 weeks. We're at Monticello, then we host Central Catholic, and then we're at St. Joe. So, I probably get quoted for saying it, but I think the Illini Prairie Conference is kind of the SEC of 3A, 2A, 3A, 4A football in the state of Illinois. I mean, there's 3 or 4 teams there that were playing in the second round, if not in the quarterfinals last year. And I'd be shocked if that wasn't the case again. And we know that, in order to get battle tested and make a run in the playoffs, you got to play tough teams throughout the year. And again, we're excited to strap it up and continue to work on what we're working on, through the summer and be ready to roll come week 1.
I'm excited for the season. There's a lot of excitement, I guess, just as overall, right? We have the Summer Tribe Challenge that's gone through, the attendance rates there, the people who have bought in. The whole program seems to be on the up, and I think that's a very good thing to think about, Coach, and kudos to you and your staff. Do want to say, though, the Island Central Illinois, where you have seen the games before, that's not going anywhere. Kent Casson, Mark, Tim, and myself will be bringing you, and Ben, I can't forget about our camera guy, Ben, will be bringing you every game live. So be sure you're going to still see the games live on the Ion Central Illinois and everything that Kent has. You'll see the same faces, same sounds, everything like that. This show is just kind of something the Friends of Pontiac Football wanted to do to dive deeper into our program. So again, be sure to stay on that with the Ion Central Illinois, and you can see all the games live with our commentary and such. I can't wait. I'll be on the road for all of the games except Central Catholic. So I won't see that first game. I have some other commitments for my own career, but on that side. But I will say, getting down to Tolono, it's a cool facility. They seem to shoot fireworks off quite a bit. So I don't know
Yeah,
where you guys get all the fireworks.
they're a
But no,
little obnoxious down there.
maybe just a tad. I will say the pork chops are amazing, so I can't wait to get to Tolono, have a
Yep.
pork chop. Also, get back up to Williamson Field and have one of the pork chops there. Football, pork chops, pigskins. How about it, Coach?
About that
2025,
time.
2025 is set to be a good year, and it's going to be great for the Indians as well.
Yep, we're excited. We appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Tim. Appreciate you, Mark. Appreciate you, Jake. Looking forward to the fall.
Coach, thank you for joining us today, and we'll let you get back to work, and we'll see everyone this Friday. It's Orange and Blue Night at Williamson Field. I imagine, Coach, 7 p.m., somewhere around there for everyone to show up and check everything out. So, Coach, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Jake.
Well, Coach, we were getting ready to get out of here, and we didn't think schedules were going to match up for Mark and Tim to be able to be in here right now, but Coach Gadbury, look who we have. We have Mark Myre
Yeah,
and Tim Scott.
some of my 2 favorite people. How we doing, guys?
Coach, how are you? You ready for the 2025 campaign?
We're ready. We got a couple weeks here yet, but we're getting excited for it.
Coach, better yet, how about the kids and where that's at? And obviously, a program they're still trying to build up. And I was hearing good things about weight rooms and numbers and kids. And where's that all stand?
I mean, we had a great summer, the best summer we've had since I've been here.
Super.
You're starting to kind of see some of the things that we've been implementing the last couple of years starting to show up a little bit more and more with our kids. We're at a roster of 73 kids right now. Our attendance was just under 80% throughout the summer. Some huge weight room numbers. Our kids take a lot of pride and put a ton of effort in the weight room. It helps when you got a brand new facility, a state-of-the-art facility there for them to work out and train in. We went on the road and we competed over at Myre, showed some really good things against a really good football program up there in a joint practice in July. We're getting excited, man. We got a good group. We got more talent this year, and taking some kids from basketball that haven't played the last couple of years. So the more the merrier. But no, really getting excited for the fall and orange and blue and all those things coming up ahead here.
Coach, what about your golf game? How you doing there?
I played quite a bit of golf this summer. We went ahead and got a membership. I figured, if I'm going to be here for a little while, I better figure out a place to play some golf. So haven't played as much as I would have liked the last couple of weeks. We've been super busy. Played a little bit earlier this week, being in the dead week, but love that course over there in town, and being able to have a place like that here this close is super nice. So, now it's time for football, Mark.
Of course, Mark's asking those tough questions about your golf game, but back to the matter at hand. First of all, in terms of two things over the last 2 years, and obviously you know this more than I do, line of scrimmage and when being competitive against tough competition, which you guys always play because you're playing a tough conference to begin with.
Yep.
And then as far as skilled people, where
Yep.
do those two things, and if you want to mention any kids in particular, it's fine. I didn't know if you want to at this point in time, but those are two areas that have got to get better if you're going to see increases in wins.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, up front, we graduated 5 guys that started for us last year. We had a group that's played together for 2 years now, the freshman and JV level, that we've kind of kept tight knit. That will step up as juniors across the front there and toe the line, and we're continuing to improve. I mean, we've moved some kids around. We're shuffling and making it work, and I think the cool thing to watch those guys all summer was they just continue to get better. They took a ton of pride in understanding that, hey, we got some pretty talented kids behind us. We got to make sure that we're doing our part so AJ can get the ball to those skill guys and make plays. And, I think one thing that stands out from the summer that we have a little bit more this year than the past couple of years is speed. We've got speed. I mean, between Amazing King, Brody Carr, on the edge is track guys, but now in the receiving core, Ben Melchers, Jaden Reed, AJ DeLong's a hurdler kid. We added a basketball player we're really excited about, and Bryce Robinson. So speed. I mean, and you guys know better than I do in this conference, you got to have some speed out there. So, yeah, obviously winning the line of scrimmage, that's going to win you football games, but it helps having a little bit of speed out there, playmakers that can make you look good a little bit up front when things don't work out quite like you want them to.
All right, Coach, what about the Pontiac Indian fans? Where do we buy the football gear at? Everybody's asking me, where do I get the football gear? They're fired up around here.
There's plenty of places to get gear. We got an online store that we run through our athletic program here. Obviously, the general store in town will get you stuff made up. PST here in town, there's a number of places that we work with and make sure we got gear. So, yeah, you guys better get geared up. I think it could be an exciting fall for us. We got a schedule with some exciting home games, and come out to Williamson Field and cheer our guys on. They've busted their butt and had a really good summer, and we're excited about the fall.
Best of luck opening night, Coach City Kohlers.
Yep, going to be a tough one, opening up, tough one on the road, and we'll see what we're made of. And I like that it's a non-conference because everything in front of us is still going into week 2, and we'll see what we're made of. Our kids are fired up and excited about it, so should be a good week 1 matchup for us.
Good luck.
Coach, thank you for joining us again. Mark and Tim were able to join us here on the tail end of our segment. And Coach, Again, just thank you for joining us. And Mark, Tim, and I are going to go talk about what we want to talk about. And Coach, get back to work, my man.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Have fun.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, we have gone through the day here. I had a great talk with Coach Gadbury. You guys were able to hop in as well on the phone there for just a second. I know you guys have different things going on, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day, to be here as well. We talked about the Summer Tribe Challenge and what Coach Gadbury had built as far as attendance. 50 to 60 kids consistently in the weight room every day. Huge numbers. We haven't seen that in a long time. Fundraising over $15,000 in fundraising up to this point. Um, Tell you what, they are building the program. We've talked about it, and you can hear everything, of course, as you just did. Gentlemen, shows this year. Coal City to open the year again. Ion Central Illinois has everything live streaming. That's Kent Casson, Mark, Tim, myself, and Ben. I forgot Ben almost a little bit earlier, but Ben, of course, our camera guy. Mason, your grandson Tim. I think he'll be
Yep.
joining us a little bit. He's off to college as well. I know that's, I'm sure, a cool feeling to have Mason helping you out with some of the broadcast stuff. And it's cool. I'm friends with him as well, and just kind of have everything mend together. It's a nice little family we have here. I would say. But gentlemen, Coal City's week 1, Prairie Central week 2. We have Rantoul homecoming. We end the year at St. Joseph Ogden. On the road in my neck of the woods quite a bit. Mark Myre will be on the call with Tim at home games. I will be on the road with Tim at every game except Coal City. I have uh, some prior commitments there, announcing some motorsports. So I'm gone the first couple of weeks, but gentlemen, Orange and Blue Night, as this video goes out, is just a couple of days away. So again, you guys can come in and see the first time under the lights for the Pontiac Indians at Williamson Field at 7 p.m. this Friday night, August 22nd. See everything about the Indians and what they have going on. Gentlemen, are you excited for this year? Final thoughts as we wrap up.
I'm really pumped up, Jake. I really hope people buy into this community and with this team because I think personally, you're just trying to get wins. You're trying to get people to believe again, and you got speed. And I think speed kills. You're going to see a whole different ball club this year, and I just hope one game at a time, this ball club improves and it gets a chance to really make some noise because when you make noise, you just never know. If you believe and achieve and get positive, I'm always a Cub fan. Tim's a Cub fan, and a PCA, and the boys start hitting. We go into the playoffs. So we're going to find out if the Pontiac Indians can get in the playoff or what it's like this year, and we're excited.
Tim, anything? Final thoughts?
As far as Mark, I echo his thoughts, no doubt about it. And anxious, very anxious, anxious to see, and hopefully good solid things happens for this program. It's time, and like I said, last couple of years been tough, and I think everybody knows it, and I think the kids obviously know it, and coaches know it. Those are great numbers in the weight room and things that are happening behind the scenes that need to happen to make things go in the right direction, and we shall see. And still don't know why in the heck we got Coal City on the schedule, but I'll ask John that question. That's another place, another time.
I think
I had to get my shot in for Coal City.
I think the
God.
Indians
We
have
love
it.
John, man. We love John.
Oh, I love him too.
I love her.
What
Hey,
the
I want
heck
to
are we
thank
doing
John
this?
and Blair for our wardrobe. We love the stuff, the golf shirts, the hats. We'll wear it all. Coach Gadbury, any Pontiac football stuff, we wear it all, okay?
But anyway, hey, you have a great sophomore year at Parkland Junior
Yes,
College,
thank you.
and I echo those thoughts. And my grandson's off up at Wabansi, and yeah, I know he's anxious to get going. You guys got your lives in front of you. Enjoy it, and super excited about watching Indian football and calling it.
If you can announce soccer, we can win football games, okay?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of work to do then, gentlemen. I'll tell you what, thank you again. I'm very excited to have this show. Buck Casson has reached out to us to have the Friends of Pontiac Football
Yeah,
put this together.
that's a great
Um,
story in itself. This is a neat thing. Thank you, Coach Casson. There, no
So
doubt about it.
we have some sponsors as well. This episode brought to you by Fellheimer Law Firm. So again, thank you for the first episode. I don't know if you guys know this officially, but Tomahawk Talk is what we're going to name this. So a nice little
There you
play
go.
on the Pontiac Indians with the talk show. It's kind of just what we came together with, and I think that's going to be a good name, of course. Here, Mark Myre, Tim Scott, Jake Green. This is episode number 1 of Tomahawk Talk, brought to you and presented by Friends of Pontiac Football and Fellheimer Law Firm. Gentlemen, I'm excited for the year and I can't wait. Goodbye, everyone.